What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. What is going on, everybody? How are we doing? It is Wednesday, March 19th, and I thought I'd fire up a little podcast because breaking news. We had some information that came out early on Wednesday regarding a man named Aaron Rodgers and a team called the Minnesota Vikings. So we will dive into that. I saw Jalen Milroe ran a really fast 40 time at the Alabama Pro Day, and I just want to dive into pro days in general because I would say I don't think too highly of them. And then there were, I think the owners' meetings are right around the corner, and we have a lot of. We knew the Packers want the tush push banned; they want it done, but there are also a lot of other potential rule changes. Honestly, many that I am in full support of, and Dan Campbell and the Lions. It feels like we're on the same page here because we both view something when it comes to the NFL and a rule that just drives us bananas. But before we dive into some football, I got to tell you about my friends, my partners, and the official ticketing app of this podcast, Game Time. And can I tell you a little something that I've gone to a lot of games in my life. I've gone to a lot of events. I've done a lot of fun things. And recently, and I've used a lot of different ticketing apps. There is not one better. Honestly, it's not even close than my friends at Game Time. You're talking concerts. You're talking comedy shows. You want to go get a laugh. You want to go watch Shane Gillis, Andrew Schultz. I see he's blowing up. I guess he's already blown up. You want to go to a game? You want to go to any event? College, pro, get out of the house, go enjoy yourself. Here's part of life. To keep a smile on your face, you got to break up the monotony. And listen, I am guilty as anybody. Every once in a while, you just got to throw a curveball. It's like, I'm going to a concert tonight. I'm going to a basketball or baseball game tonight. Just to change up your life. And that's where my friends at Game Time come in because they'll take the guesswork right out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code JOHN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code JOHN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Okay, let's dive into the Minnesota Vikings. Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi, the GM, have decided at this point in time, while they discussed, I think probably in depth and for days on end, potentially for the last month or two, should they be aggressive and sign Aaron Rodgers? That is their job. That is the job of every general manager, is to do due diligence on every player available. And it's why Ryan Poles last year, I'm sorry, takes a little heat of like, yeah, it was the easy thing to not bring any of the quarterbacks in beside Caleb Williams. Yeah, the media is going to give you a lot of credit. They don't sign your checks. Your job is to thoroughly evaluate and bring in Jaden Daniels and Drake May. If he could have that one over, doesn't mean he would change the pick. But let's face it, they did not do their due diligence like they did with Caleb. And just like, even though you drafted a quarterback really, really high in J.J. McCarthy, like he played 2 preseason games and then hurt his knee and then needed another surgery and lost what looked like 30 or 40 pounds and looked like what I aspire to be, really skinny. And it's like, is this guy good enough to carry our offense? You have to ask these questions, and you're not going to have the answers until the season starts. But I think one thing the Minnesota Vikings had on their side, they're not desperate. And I think one consistent theme in life is when you make decisions out of desperation, it can blow up in your face. And sometimes in life, you don't have a choice, right? Anyone who's listening to this that's lost a job or been dumped or had something traumatic happen to you that's, I would say, somewhat out of your control, it can force you into change and some desperation and to charge a different path immediately that you hadn't planned on doing. And you've heard a lot of people, especially, successful people in business that say, The most powerful word is always no. It doesn't mean that you're not interested or that you won't end up doing that, but when you say no, you gain some leverage. And typically, like teams that make bad decisions or desperate decisions are bad. The reason the Jets traded a haul and then paid Aaron Rodgers or took his salary, actually, he ended up taking a pay cut, but basically gave him the keys to the franchise is not because they had been winning 11 or 12 games. It's because they had been dog shit. Like the 49ers just let their entire roster go. Do you think that happens if they win 12 games and are in the NFC Championship game? Probably not. But they went 6 and 11. So when you look at the Eagles 2 years ago, they start what is it, 10 and 1, and then basically lose 6 of their last 7 games, get their ass kicked in the playoffs, and they fired basically everyone that they could see beside Nick Sirianni on the coaching staff. You think they do that if they were in the Super Bowl? Of course not. So winning and losing gives you juice. The Vikings were 60 minutes away from being the number one overall seed. And obviously they played a bad playoff game and got worked by the LA Rams. But like they're in a position where they look at the roster and go, minus the quarterback, we feel we have one of the better rosters in the NFL. And we've invested in this young quarterback because we believe in him. Now, I've been saying over and over, you have no clue. There is a great unknown when it comes to JJ McCarthy. Is he going to be a good NFL player? No one knows, including Minnesota. And it's why it is their responsibility to have these discussions, to go in depth. Is it worth it? How much would he cost? What would he impact on the locker room? Is it worth JJ's development, good or bad, to have him around? Is it better to not have him around? Are we a better football team with him as the starting quarterback? That's what they're paid to do. It's like the media, people like me, people, the fans, we can have all the opinions we want. And listen, it's fun. It's why football is huge. We got a lot of thoughts, we got a lot of takes, and we like talking about it. But it is their job. It's not about takes, it's not about opinions, it's to get it right or wrong. And when you make a move, like if they go with JJ McCarthy and it works and they win 12, 13 games and he's a solid player, like it's all worth it. If he's not good and he can't carry the offense like Sam did. I know everyone's like, Sam Darnold's overrated. Look at the last 2 games. He threw 35 touchdowns. JJ McCarthy in 15 games when Michigan won the national championship was never asked to play like that. His career high was 22 touchdowns. Like he played in a run first defensive team in college. That's how Jim Harbaugh coaches. That is not how Kevin O'Connell coaches. Kevin O'Connell wants to call pass plays. Don't blame him. That's what a lot of Andy Reid likes, calling pass plays. But when you call a lot of pass plays, you're pretty dependent on the quarterback. And Sam Darnold last year and Kirk Cousins the previous couple years, like those are guys that clearly you could lean on. We don't know that with JJ McCarthy. We used to know that with Aaron Rodgers. He used to be a guy like he was one of the best players of all time. That guy's gone. So you're getting a 41-year-old. He's not like completely washed. I mean, this isn't Drew Brees or Roethlisberger at the end of the career, but he's a shell of what he once was. Like we have to acknowledge that. If he was once basically like a 10 out of 10 player, whatever that version is long gone. He's still a functional player. He's still a guy that can throw touchdowns, who can, if you have a good team, you can probably be competitive with. But there is no guarantee that he can just carry you to the promised land. And I don't blame any older player, especially when you become really rich and you've checked off every box. Like, I don't want to get hit. I wouldn't want to get hit either. Tom Brady that last year was like, I'm not getting sacked. Aaron Rodgers last year, like, I'm not getting sacked. It's one thing to get like kind of randomly thrown to the ground. It's another thing when I see the guy coming at me, like, I'm not standing in this pocket for that extra second where I can complete this ball. I'm hitting the ground now, or I'm throwing it away. And he used to not do that. And he did that last year, which again, I will defend. But when you go into business with him, that's what you have to do, is understand that that's the player. It's why when the talk about like, well, if Matt Stafford doesn't take a pay cut, we'll trade him to the Giants and we'll go sign Aaron Rodgers, and you would have fell off a cliff in terms of your offensive production, because the one thing Stafford will still do, even though he's made a ton of money and won a championship, he will sit in that pocket and get mollywopped as he waits to the last possible second to deliver a strike to Puka Nacua for a first down. For some reason, I still don't. I saw a headline Cooper Kupp, he's like, I never got an answer from the Rams. It's like, Cooper, they don't think you're worth $20 million. Dollars. You're in the business of football. And what your salary is, if it doesn't equal how good you are as a player anymore, whether it's the Rams, whether it's the Patriots, whether it's the Chiefs, every team in the league would have cut you. It's not because they don't like you as a guy. It's not because they don't think you work hard. It's not because they don't think you're a good influence to the team. It's because your salary was much larger than how you are currently as a player. It's called the business that is the NFL. You would have been cut by all 32 teams. They're not going to give you a letter of explanation of like your routes aren't as good anymore. It's your injuries and your dependability. You're not dependable anymore. It has nothing to do with like you as a guy. And I understand like I've been fired. It's a humbling experience. But like they didn't think you were worth $20 million. It's not that fucking complicated. If I see one more headline like Cooper Kupp just does not understand, what is there not to understand? This isn't a complicated formula. He's not as good as the high price. They think Devante Adams is worth way more money than you, right? Which is your old salary, $20 million. They'll gladly play that to Devante. They do not want to pay you. And I think it's hard to know with Rodgers, how much he actually wanted. If I was Rodgers, I would have gone to Minnesota for like nothing, like $5 million. I'm in, because if he ends up with the Steelers and the Giants, and I mentioned this yesterday, like I don't really care. Neither one of those things do anything to me. I don't think the Steelers are dramatically any different than they have been the last several years, and I think the Giants will be bad. When it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure: nothing's for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderellas, top seeds going home early. It's all gonna happen. Bet the unexpected. Every upset, every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. Ready to make your first bet? Check out matchups and pick a team to win. It's that simple. First time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the code JOHN, that's John. That's code JOHN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. And I think the Giants are in a really, really tough spot. And I don't really know what else they were supposed to do. But, and I said this yesterday, I understand why John Mara did not want to be looked at like some loony owner constantly firing people. But it's like, John, everyone you fired deserved to be fired. Like Ben McAdoo, you had to pull the trigger. Joe Judge ran a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 9. He had to go. Pat Shurmur had no business being a head coach. Like this crew, it's not really working out. And like, I get it. You like these guys. A lot of people get fired in the NFL that people liked. Pete Carroll got fired. Andy Reid got fired. Like it's part of the job. But these guys have no shot to win. And if you add Aaron Rodgers, their roster is way worse than the Jets. And unlike the Jets, they play in a division that's much better. I mean, the Eagles are a powerhouse. Clearly, Washington is going to be improved, and they were in the NFC Championship last year. And let's face it, like the Cowboys had a million injuries. Maybe they're no longer that 12-win team, but they're way better than the Giants. So I think this Giant situation is like, and even if they end up drafting Shador with the 3rd overall pick, like I saw Shador 2 years ago on a bad Colorado team. They were not good. And it's just like if you put players on bad teams, especially at quarterback, like they unless they're fucking Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers in his prime, they're not overcoming that. You will lose. We just saw Aaron Rodgers on a talented team last year lose week after week after week after week. And I think the Steeler thing, and I think what Cam said is reflective, kind of what we all believe. It's like I can't. I just can't. Like it feels like a Bravo show now. And which, listen, when you are an elite, when you're a great player, you can deal with it. Like at one point in time, it's like, yeah, Antonio Brown's nuts, but he'll give you 120 catches and 15 touchdowns a year. Like, yeah, you just kind of deal with the nuts. And then it got to the point where, like, yeah, he's not giving you that anymore. I'm out. Terrell Owens became that. And every once in a while, a quarterback becomes that. It's like your drama outweighs. I don't know how people deal with, like, I'm pretty lucky. My immediate family, there's not much drama involved. I keep a relatively smaller friend circle because I can't really deal with crazy drama. I mean, there are levels where you have to be, you have a family member, a close friend who just there's drama in their life, they need help. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying constantly something. It's like if I'm the Steelers, it's like, listen, we sucked it up and we dealt with this weirdo Russell Wilson. Now we're dealing with Mr. Ayahuasca, who it just isn't as good anymore. Now you could also say if you're the Steelers, like, what are your options? And I know it's been reported that they were pretty interested in bringing Justin Fields back on somewhat of a similar number to what the Jets gave him, which I honestly think would have been insane. It's like, wait, you're willing to give him even a number near that, a couple years, $40 million and guarantee 30, and you wouldn't, and you benched him for Russell Wilson? How's that possible? And you refused as Russell Wilson started not playing well and it got cold and he looked like a shell of himself. You refused to start Fields. Like that would have showed you that you essentially threw the last season. So I think both these franchises, I was pretty aggressive on how I was out on the Steelers last year, and I looked dumb when they started 10-3. And then everything changed. They started playing good teams, and I looked smart again. And listen, I've come to grips with I'm no longer saying that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers should get a divorce. I don't believe it's going to happen. I believe he will be there forever, no matter how many 8, 9, 10 win seasons he has and how many times he gets his ass kicked in the first round. Like I'm done. That's a take that's a waste of my energy. I'm also done ever thinking the Steelers are going to suck. They're clearly not. But like their version of suck is what we are witnessing right now. The team that just does the same thing every single year. And clearly the Chiefs are this dynasty team, 5 Super Bowls, 6 years, 3 championships. But that next tier of team that cannot beat the Chiefs kicks your ass. The Bills and the Ravens. So it's like the Chiefs are in their own category. And then that next tier of the Bills, Ravens have nothing in common with you. They own you. Yeah, occasionally you could beat the Ravens and Lamar in a regular season game. No one cares, right? I mean, guys like De'Aaron Fox score 50 in random regular season games. It does not matter in the landscape of the league in the important games. So it's like, I just think the Steelers are now in the same spot over and over, over and over. They can add Rodgers. They can bring back Russell. They can draft Jackson Dart. They can do whatever. I don't think anything's going to change. And it sucks if you're a Steeler fan because it's like we're never going to bottom out. So we never will have a chance at the Jaden Daniels or I don't think Trevor Lawrence any good, but like that type player will always just, somehow be 9 to 10 wins, be one and done in the playoffs, not host a playoff game, have a stretch in the regular season where we're like, are we pretty good? And it's like, no, yeah, actually not. So it's just the same old, same old. And now you're waiting on a 41-year-old who's toying with your emotions. That's what it's come to. You're waiting on a 41-year-old that we've all acknowledged isn't that good anymore. Like he's not worthy of like we should be, but we're desperate. What else are we supposed to do? And the answer is you're screwed. Pro days. I was talking to a buddy the other day who's doing his pro day circuit in his area, and I remember thinking this when I was going to them when I was in the NFL, and ever since just watching them from the outside, they're really pretty pointless. Like you are learning nothing on a guy. Honestly, the pro days are not for the top players because a top player has more than likely started several years, especially like Alabama's pro day today. Jalen Milroe is a multiple year starter. So I have game tape against Ole Miss, Georgia, you name it, Michigan, A&M, LSU. Like I got years of that. I have years of that. And at this point in time, at the combine, I can bring to my facility. Getting to know the guy is really important. But today it goes viral. It's like Jalen Milroe runs a 4.3740, which is obviously really fast. I mean, that's impressive. Well, I got news for you. Anyone that watched Alabama the last couple years, Jalen Milroe can run. That is not shocking. He doesn't play corner. He's not a wide receiver. He plays quarterback. And anyone that watched the Senior Bowl practices or that bowl game or just the majority of this season, it wasn't very pretty. You remove that first half against Georgia, it's like his job in the NFL is to complete an out route, is to hit a wheel route and hit the running back in stride. He does throw a pretty deep ball, but I, go routes, it's kind of overrated how often you throw that route. A lot of stuff in the NFL is timing and rhythm, and he's not that good at it. I'm not trying to pick on Jalen Milroe, but I think this pro day circuit is pretty dumb. It really is. It really is much more for the guys that are fringe to get drafted, undrafted free agents, and guys that won't play in the NFL. It's a showcase for them because all these guys go to the combine. So they've met with all the GMs, they've been weighed in. Even if they don't work out, who cares? What am I going to see in a workout with any top player? Ashton Genty, Abdul Carter, Jalen Milroe, Jackson Dart, that I don't have years of tape to study, especially the guys that went to the All-Star games, which I had a front row seat of them practicing for a couple days. Listen, I'm not saying these pro days are going to go away, but I think their value is basically zero. And I actually think it's insane talking to some of my scouting buddies that most teams, at least every team that I know, makes you write up like a write up on the guy's workout in shorts and t-shirts at their pro day. I mean, you talk about a pointless exercise. Now, I'm not opposed if something just looks egregiously awful, like this is something's off, 100% make some notes. But like, I just have to write up what you do running around cones and catching the ball or movement in space. Like, we already have that. Playing football, this is not that. So, my overall take is pro days are stupid. Okay, we'll get out of here on this. Some potential rule changes. Obviously, one of the headliners over the last couple months has been the Packers want to ban the tush push. My overall take is I don't care. If they ban it, I don't. It will not bother me. If they let them continue to do that, will not bother me either. Because anyone can do the tush push. The only team that has the guy who is a little shorter that can squat 600 plus pounds is them. Because I saw Josh Allen, who I thought is one of the stronger, bigger quarterbacks I've ever seen, try to run quarterback sneaks, and he couldn't gain a half yard. So I just don't care. You ban it, cool. You don't ban it, okay. Doesn't bother me. But I do think there are some pretty important potential rule changes. I have been saying forever, as a fan of football, as someone that gambles on football, as someone who just watches a ton of football, the amount of games in tight, most NFL games are close. I think 80% of games are within one score in the fourth quarter. So giving teams automatic first downs on defensive holding is the most, I think, one of the craziest things in the NFL rule book. How often do you watch a 3rd and 10 in the second half, tie game, down three, up three, and a team, it's 3rd and 9, and some questionable defensive holding or illegal contact, automatic first down? It's fucking bullshit. I would even go a step farther. Pass interference, we should go college, 15-yard penalty. But that's a different discussion. No problem if it's 3rd and 3, defensive holding first down. But automatic first down, we have seen so often, 2nd and long, 3rd and long. It'd be like 3rd and 15, and there'd be a defensive holding, automatic first down, especially when the quarterback doesn't even throw that guy's way and it doesn't even come close to being completed. So the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell, um, Brad Holmes, and the Ford family, F-150, number one selling truck in America. No free ads, but it's truth. They want that gone. They want that changed and just make it a spot foul. So if it's 3rd and 9 and it happens at 3 yards, okay, it's now 3rd and 6. I'm all for it. I am 100% down because the automatic first down on that play has an outweighed impact on the outcomes of way too many games. This is not college football where half the games during the fall are 15, 20, 30 point spreads. That's not the case. All these games are close, or the majority of them are. And so many times coming down the home stretch, and it probably impacts more games earlier in the game too, but it's like a tie game, 6 minutes left, and it would have been a punt, and then all of a sudden you get a first down, it leads to a field goal, and that's the difference in the game. So props to the Lions on that one. They also, I guess a lot of teams are behind the reseeding of the playoff teams. Essentially, no longer the first 4 seeds, 1 through 4, are the 4 division winners. because we have constantly seen, 9, 10 win teams usually be the fourth, sometimes even the third seed. And yet we've had wild card teams win 12, 13, 14 games and have to go on the road in the playoffs. So they are discussing making basically the top 7 seeds in the playoffs are just by record. And now, if you win the division, you do get a playoff spot. So 4 of the 7 spots are still going to go to the division winner, which I'm all for, but you don't automatically get a home game. Look at the Vikings. Now, because of the fires, they ended up playing in Arizona, but the Vikings had to go on the road. The Vikings were 60 minutes away from being the number 1 overall seed. Instead, they lose, and all of a sudden, they're playing a Monday night game in Glendale, Arizona, which still kind of worked out to be a home game for them because of how many people from the Minnesota general area, I would say live, in Arizona. But that's beside the point. They have one of the best home field advantages in the NFL. So I'm totally for this. I know a lot of people have hit me up over the years asking if they should do a team can pick whoever they want to play. I think that's fun to talk about, and it's a cool discussion. It will never happen. And all 32 teams, the good and the bad teams, would not want that. So totally for that. The other thing is I think the Steelers put through this rule out, which I don't hate. Right now, during the tampering period, you are, based on the letter of the law, not allowed to talk to the player. So if I'm the New England Patriots and I want Milton Williams, I can talk to his agent, but if I'm Vrabel or my defensive coordinator, I can't get on the horn with Milton. I have to wait till the official start of the league year to talk to him. They want to make the tampering period allow you to talk to a player. So if I'm recruiting player X as a free agent, I basically can't talk to him. Where I can avoid that. Remember, Saquon said something about Howie talking to him last year, and then he had to push back, and it turns out, it's like, I think the fix is pretty simple. You're not allowed to announce anything, but to me, the tampering period should start at the NFL Combine. And then the league year, whenever that tampering period, quote unquote, starts, should be that Monday in the league year. And then for maybe even 3 days, so it could be a Sunday, you're allowed to negotiate with the player and the agent. Because it is very, you have to be extremely naive to think that these discussions aren't happening very, very frequently at the combine. So we all know the combine is the unofficial start to legal tampering. Yet you can't start quote unquote legal tampering till like a week later on Monday. It's very disingenuous, and it's just not the way the real world works. So to me, I would mess with the combine and have that as some sort of legal tampering and try to ideally give it a week where you start announcing the deals. But even right now, once the legal tampering period begins, all these deals start breaking. You think we just come to an agreement, $60 million Monday at noon? Of course not. We've been talking for a week. So I think there's something to be manipulated with the legal tampering, with the discussions, and just make it all legal so we don't even have to pretend anymore. But I'm all for the Lions and the defensive holding and illegal contact not resulting in an automatic first down, and not against either the reseeding just based on records, even though the 4 division winners ought get an auto spot.